What's up, everyone? I'm uploading a few videos for you, mainly like the women, I suppose, because it's the women are going to be feeding in it and doing the cooking when the shit hit the fan. So I think it's important, right, that you all really look into this dehydrating, and like if you can afford it, buy yourself a freeze dryer, okay? Because, you know, as much as you store in tins, like I said, you know, the tins could go off. Maybe not this time, because I think this is the real fucking deal, right? But it'd be better if you have meals in a jar, and the reason for that is because you only need a liquid and you can boil it up, okay? And it'll be food that you used to and food that you like, because it's your own meals, and then you just freeze dry the whole meal. Can you see what I mean? And then we just need water and heat. I think that's just better, you know, because I mean everybody's gonna be happy and you're not gonna be so stressed if the shit does hit the fan, because if the shit hit the fan, you're not going to be able to think, okay? So the most important thing then is that you've got a jar that you can just add water to, and you have a meal, okay? And you can store this stuff for months and months and months and years and years and years. So come on now, right? But these are some of the videos that I've had, so I'm going to upload, okay? Just so it could educate everyone, including myself, okay? Because I never do know dehydrating before. Okay, and I practice what I preach, and I do believe they're gonna fucking starve us, because I said this years ago, okay? And right now, with the current situation, with everything going on in the world, okay, unless you got money coming out your ass, right, things gonna start cost money, because like I said, it takes like 8 months, innit, between Australia and Britain, okay? Now you've already seen the videos. Australia, America, and I'm gonna start feel the pressure in the supermarkets, okay? So unless you don't want to feel that pressure, the things that you like the fresh fruit, stuff like that, whatever, you know, dehydrate it, okay? Because they're gonna save you money, okay? And it's gonna keep you not so stressed.
Them tell we money make the world spin round, but the world still turn when the market down. Digital idol, green paper crown. Man lose him roots just to chase the pound. Humanity mix up value and greed. Sell spirit fi click, call that need. Them build one god out a code and feed. Worship number but them heart still bleed. Hey, the price of nothing but it
gas is well over $4 a gallon again. It's not just gas, everything else follows. So here are 5 freeze-dried foods to keep on hand to protect your wallet when prices start rising. Number 5 is meat. Meat's one of the first things to go up. Higher fuel costs, higher feed costs, and higher transport costs. It all adds up and we pay for it. So when you freeze dry it, you're locking in that price. Number 4 is leftovers. This one's simple. Food waste gets expensive without you even realizing it. It's sneaky, especially when groceries cost more. Freeze drying leftovers turns what would have been thrown away into another full meal. Number 3 is eggs. We've already seen how crazy egg prices can get. Between feed costs, transportation, disease, and supply issues, they spike fast. Freeze drying eggs means you're not just stuck buying them at whatever price they hit next. Number 2 is full meals. When prices rise, people eat out less, but cooking still takes time. Having full meals ready to go means no last minute store trips and no spending money just because it's easier. Number 1 is tomato powder. This one gets slept on, but it's number 1 for a reason. It replaces like 5 different things. Tomato paste, sauce, soup, pizza sauce, spaghetti sauce. Instead of buying all those separately, you've got one thing on your shelf that can make all of them.
I like to dehydrate my own hiking meals. I start off by dehydrating my food on my dehydrator at home, and then I vacuum seal it. Then, when out on trail and ready to eat, this is my process. I pour the dehydrated meal into my camp pot and add water. I then use my camp stove to bring the water to a boil, stirring occasionally. Once it's boiled, I turn off the stove and let the pot sit covered for 10 minutes. This is what this Thai red curry looked like after 10 minutes. I decided it needed a little bit more water and I added rice noodles to it. I brought it to a boil again and then let it sit for another 3 minutes to let the noodles soften. Then it was ready to eat. It tastes basically the exact same as the meal did before I dehydrated it. The only difference is it's somehow more delicious after hiking all day and eating outside in nature.
This is dehydrated chili. It's a great lightweight meal that I love to take with me out in the woods, and I'm going to show you how to make it. My wife made me this chili, and it's the best chili there is. I'm lining my dehydrator trays with parchment paper, spreading a thin, even layer on top. This is a great way to reduce the size and weight of your chili for backpacking or for long-term storage. Just don't use oil in your recipe if you're doing that. But we used olive oil in this since I'm taking it camping soon anyways. I'll set it to 160 degrees at 6 hours for now. I want it to be nice and crispy. So the 6 hours is up and it's a little rubbery, so it still has some moisture in it. I'll rotate the trays by putting the top one on the bottom, put it in for a couple more hours. Took 8 hours total. Now it's nice and crispy. I'm going to take this backpacking with me in a couple days. I'll store it in the fridge till then since it has oil in it. It's pretty easy to rehydrate it. Bring some water to a boil, take it off the fire, and then dump your chili into it. Just enough water to submerge it. I'll let it sit near the fire for about 10 to 15 minutes, stir it around a little bit, and it's ready to go.
I think one of my favorite parts about owning a freeze dryer is on fridge cleanout days, my leftovers turn into shelf-stable meals that can last up to 25 years. And they're the perfect thing for any just add water meals, especially when you're camping. So today when cleaning out my fridge, I ended up with a whole tray of shredded beef, as well as a whole tray of cracked chicken, a whole tray of pinto beans, and then 2 trays of garden tomatoes from last season that were in my freezer. They really needed to be used up. I'm just going to turn them into a tomato powder. I love that I'm able to reduce a lot of food waste in our house, and these, once they're done, will be able to sit on my shelf with no refrigeration.
One love, but they control the trust. System forged in digital rust. You will own nothing and be happy, they said. Them words still echo in my head from the car that I drive to the phone by my bed. Every product's built to fail instead. Subscriptions was the perfect heist. Turned a one-time cost into a lifelong price. What once was freedom is now a device. 7 grand later, still rolling the dice. We rent the dream, they sell illusion. Digital chains and the cash infusion. From code to car, it's all confusion. Welcome to the 4th revolution. We rent the dream, they sell illusion. Digital chains and the cash infusion. From code to car, it's all confusion. Welcome to the 4th revolution. From heated seats to features locked behind receipts. You don't own land, no tools, no keys. It's a modern serfdom subscription fee. The average brick now spends endlessly.
Remember to label your bags first before putting your freeze-dried food into them, because if you wait until after, it's much harder to actually write on the bags and it's just annoying. We're gonna see how many MRE meals I get out of this delicious Marry Me chicken soup. This literally turned out so good. I am already ready to make more. The key when packaging up soup into MRE bags is to make sure to scrape the bottom of the tray to get all of those powdery bits at the bottom, because that is where your broth is. If you want your soup to taste the way it did when you made it, you really need to get those bits, because that's where all of that yummy, delicious flavor is. People always ask me how long freeze-dried food lasts. This will last me up to and over 25 years if stored in ideal conditions. Ideal conditions are a cool, dark place. And you need to have nice quality thick Mylar bags that have oxygen absorbers inside and heat sealed closed so no air can come in or out. I keep all of my freeze-dried food down in my basement. It's a nice, cool, dark place. Works out perfectly. I'm working on making a full year supply of food.
This fruit could last 20 years, but it won't make it past snack time around here. This is freeze-dried fruit from our long-term pantry. Most people think it's just for emergencies, but we use it every single week. I store it in big buckets in our second layer pantry, then refill these everyday jars that I keep in my kitchen. Freeze drying actually keeps more nutrients than canning or dehydrating, and the shelf life is measured in years instead of months. It's just another quiet way to build a pantry that actually feeds your family.
I'm going to show you how to freeze dry chili so that it's shelf stable for up to 25 years. First, spread the chili in your pre-frozen trays. Next, we add them to the deep freeze to give them a head start. Now that they're frozen, we load up the freeze dryer. All done. Now we need to load them into the bags. Don't forget your oxygen absorber. Lastly, seal up the bags.
I discovered about vacuum sealing different kinds of nuts into jars. Most of them will last. Yes, they're high in fat, but most of them I have not had any issue with them going rancid or even stale by keeping them vacuum sealed into jars. And I've had some that went clear back to 2014. Brazil nuts were the only ones I've had a problem with so far that started to go rancid in the jar that I had them vacuum sealed in for quite a while. So with Brazil nuts, I do actually put them in the jars Some things you can vacuum seal and then freeze, but usually they'll still lose that seal anyway, so it's really kind of a waste of your time and energy to vacuum seal. Just put it in the jar and freeze it, and then when I'm ready to start working on a new jar of Brazil nuts, I just pull it out and let it get up to room temperature. So I learned by experience that Brazil nuts are one of those things that do not have as long a shelf life as pecans and almonds. Almonds especially, whether they be sliced or whole, can last for years and years vacuum sealed into a jar. And so you can get them out of the bags, which are not going to last near as long in those bags that they come in as they will vacuum sealed into jars. So there's a lot of misconceptions about that, because a lot of people think if something is flexible or if something is high in fat, like certain meats. I've talked before when I did like the ground beef video and some other ones with the dried ground beef that I have put into jars, vacuum sealed into jars and sitting on a shelf. And I have elk jerky and beef jerky that's been vacuum sealed into jars for clear back to 2014 and 2015, and they're still good as long as those jars hold their seal. And some of that, yes, still has the fat in it, and they're still good. And the hamburger, the ground beef that I forgot to rinse out really well the first time, haven't had any issues with spoilage or it going rancid, being vacuum sealed and sitting for months back in my pantry. Just because someone over here says, oh, you shouldn't, and someone over here says, oh, you should, doesn't mean you should take one word or the other and just run with it. It means kind of keep listening to different people's experiences, look into the facts for yourself, and don't, whatever you do, don't just trust. I'm not saying the government websites don't have some good information, but most of the time they seem to have a lot of fear mongering that tries, it's almost as if they're intentionally trying to scare people away from preserving their own foods. And again, let us not forget that people have been preserving their own foods long before pressure canners were even invented.
There is another way that you can make these last up to a year. Now, it's possibly not going to save you lots of money or even time perhaps, though it will be really handy in the future. However, it will definitely stop your onions going to waste. And it just gives you another option for storing food later into the future, particularly when you can pick it up cheap in price. You want to try and slice your onions as uniformly as possible. The more oven trays that you can fit in your oven, the better. Line the oven tray with some parchment paper. Place your onions flat onto the baking paper. And you're going to bake these on the lowest setting in your oven for about 8 hours. Leave the oven door slightly ajar to aid the drying process. To test if the onions are done, allow a couple to come to room temperature, and they should be lovely and crisp. Place the dried onions into a jar that has a little bit of movement. And if you want to, you can even turn these into onion powder as well. And it saves some room in your freezer.
Guacamole chip. Let's try freeze drying guacamole. Spread it evenly. Freeze dry overnight. Freeze jars, remove all the water. 14 hours later, it's ready. Salad. Huh. It's actually amazing. What?
All we need today is a quart-size mason jar. A wide mouth mason jar is going to work best. We're going to use a canning funnel to get our ingredients in the jar. And then we're just going to need some basic measuring spoons and cups to measure our ingredients. And that's all it takes. You'll see how fast and easy these are to put together and how quickly you can have a shelf-stable meal in your pantry. Alright, so let's get started. I'm going to open up my jar. And the first ingredient that we're going to add is going to be our potato dices. Now these are freeze-dried. I get my freeze-dried potato dices from Thrive Life, and they do have one other product, which is potato chunks, and those are dehydrated. In this case, I'm using the potato dices, and if you use the dehydrated, it would probably change the amounts of water that were needed and things like that for the recipe, so I'm going to be using the freeze-dried. And I'm going to add 1 cup of the freeze-dried potato chunks. Potato dices, I mean. And then next, we're going to be adding sausage. These are freeze-dried sausage crumbles. And I'm going to be adding 3/4 of a cup of the sausage. So there's a 1/2 cup. And another 1/4 cup. The next ingredient is going to be the shredded cheddar cheese. And this is also freeze-dried. So I'm going to use a 1/2 cup of the cheese. I'm just going to give this a little shake and tap, and that helps settle our ingredients down. Now you might notice I'm putting some of the bulkier ingredients first before I put some of the more powdered ingredients, and that's because those powders are going to sift down amongst these ingredients, and it's going to make our ingredients take up less space so we can fit more in the jar. So the next thing I'm going to add is going to be a 1/4 cup of the mixed bell peppers. Now these are dehydrated, not freeze-dried, and because of that, they have shrunk down quite a bit. When you freeze-dry something, it really maintains its original structure, but when you dehydrate things, they break down a lot, shrivel up. So we're going to be able to fit quite a bit more peppers in here by using these dehydrated mixed peppers. These are from Augustin Farms. And I will have links to all these ingredients where I get them down in the description box as usual. Next, I'm going to add 2 tablespoons of chopped onions. These are freeze-dried onions. They smell so good. Not having to chop onions is such a blessing. We use these all the time. Now, 2 tablespoons is the same as 1/8 of a cup, and I do actually have this little 1/8 of a cup that came with an old set years ago. So I'm just going to use that. But that is equal to 2 tablespoons. And I tell you, these peppers and onions are so fragrant already in this jar. And when it's cooking, you can really smell them. I'm also going to do 2 tablespoons of the green chilies. Now, these are a very mild chili. These are not something that's going to add any heat to your dish. These are a freeze-dried item as well. Now, if you don't like any of these vegetables, you can always change them out for something else. Like if you don't like bell peppers, you could always leave them out and use mushrooms instead, or you could add some spinach, really any variety of veggies that you could put into this casserole. I like it with the bell peppers and onions. I think that's a very classic combination, but you can change that up for anything you like. So now we're going to go ahead and add our seasonings. I'm going to be adding a teaspoon of garlic salt. So there's a teaspoon of garlic salt. Now, I didn't overly season this. In my opinion, this is just salty enough, but it's something that, you know, someone can always add more salt or more seasoning if they want it saltier. We had a couple in our family who did add more salt and a couple who didn't. I thought it was fine just the way it is, but people have varying tastes, so I figured to always season a little bit less is better because people can always add it later, but you can't take it out. And that is one thing with these recipes when you're making these meal in a jar recipes, or any recipe really. I know a lot of people like to make up 10 or 12 of these all at once, but if I'm trying a new recipe, I always try it out first and see how we like it, and that way I can adjust the seasonings, I can adjust the ingredients. If it's something that just doesn't work for our family, we just don't care for it, then I just won't make it again, and then I don't end up with 10 or 12 of these. So if you're going to make this for your family, you can definitely decide if you want more seasoning or not, but for me, 1 teaspoon of the garlic salt was plenty. And then I did add a 1/2 teaspoon of pepper. Now each click of my dial is going to give me a 1/4 teaspoon. So 2 clicks is going to be a 1/2 teaspoon of black pepper. I only did a 1/2 teaspoon because the pepper that we're using right now is really strong and kind of spicy. So if I was using a more mild pepper, I might use a little bit more. Now next I'm going to add 2 tablespoons of instant milk. This is Thrive Life's instant milk because we really like the taste of this, but in a recipe like this, I don't think it would really matter too much what brand you used. You could probably even use the powdered milk from the grocery store, and that would probably work just fine. I did go and wipe my utensil off because I didn't want to get the taste of the onions and chilies into my milk, so 2 tablespoons of that. And now we're going to go ahead and put in the egg, and we're going to put in a cup of scrambled egg powder, which is going to just about finish up this canister. I think I'll have to open a new can. All right, so there we've got a cup of the scrambled egg powder. Now this is where the shaking and tapping is really going to come in handy because we're going to get to work this egg all the way down into the other ingredients. So now you can see that I've actually got a little bit of extra room up at the top of this jar. And so what I'm going to do with that is I'm just going to fill that extra space with some more of the diced potatoes. It's just going to be a couple tablespoons. But it's easier to fit something like that in at the end than it would be to put it all in at the beginning and then have to really worry about getting your scrambled egg powder to fit at the end. Now you could really add whatever you wanted of these ingredients to top it off. Like, I like the potatoes because they bulk it up and they're a less expensive ingredient. But if you want more meat, you could add more sausage, you could add more of the veggies, you know, whatever you wanted to top it off. It's just a very little amount, probably about 2 tablespoons. And if you were going to store this for any period of time, you want to make sure to leave a little bit of space to pop an oxygen absorber on the top of this before you seal it up. This is an example of an oxygen absorber. You really only need 200 cc's would be fine for this, maybe even 100 cc's. If you add the oxygen absorber and put the mason jar lid on it, it's going to seal that airtight, and it's going to be good for probably at least 5 to 7 years on the shelf. I'm not going to seal this one up like that because I'm going to prepare this for you and show you how it comes out when it's cooked up. But there is our beautiful jar with all of our ingredients all ready to go. That is just how easy it is to throw together one of these jar meals to have on your shelf ready to pull into service whenever you need it.
Everyone's always coming at me about the price of a freeze dryer, but have you actually added up how much money gets thrown away in leftovers that go bad in the fridge? Not to mention last minute fast food because nothing sounds good and everyone is hungry. That crap's expensive these days. We freeze dry all our leftovers, bag them up, and suddenly easy homemade meals are ready whenever we need them. Road trips, busy nights, ball games, camping, just even a lazy dinner at home. We can literally eat anywhere without relying on drive-thrus or overpriced convenience food. Yes, a freeze dryer is an upfront cost, but you're not going to convince me I'm not saving money in the long run. Less waste, fewer impulse meals, and real food we already paid for actually gets eaten.
Here's 14 different things I preserved last week. 3 dozen eggs freeze-dried, 11 pints of chicken broth, plus I also freeze-dried the amount that I couldn't end up canning, so I have this little bouillon powder now as well. 9 cups of freeze-dried cherry tomatoes, 8 pints of crushed tomatoes, paprika powder, 4 cups of freeze-dried okra, basil, oregano, sage, red chili flakes, 10 8-ounce jars of hot salsa, peppermint tea, diced bell pepper, freeze-dried.
All of these meals cook in under 30 minutes. So they're perfect for emergencies. Just add water, they're ready to go. And it's a lot cheaper to mix these up yourselves than it is to buy the pre-made meals. So we're going to go ahead and get started. Today we're going to make 4 different meals, and I'm going to show you how we put them together. So for this first meal, we're going to be making potato and sausage casserole. It's really simple and easy. We're going to use a wide mouth jar. We want one with a nice wide mouth so everything goes in and out easily. I really like to use those. You could use small mouth for this, but with the hash browns, the wide mouth really, I like this for all my made-ahead meals. So we're going to use just some salt and pepper and some of our freeze-dried sausage. These are just sausage crumbles, and we're going to use some of our Hungry Jack hash browns for this. And you need about 2 cups worth, so it's more than 1 box. And then we're going to use some cheese powder, sour cream, and some onions. So we're going to just start layering this right into the jar. It is super simple and easy. We're going to start with 1 cup of sausage. So we got about 1 cup of sausage. We're going to get that in there. We're just going to layer all this stuff in so it's nice and easy. Now, some recipes you'll put your powders on the bottom, but this one, there's so much in it, you want to put it on top so it kind of falls in the cracks, or it won't all fit in the jar. And then these are, there's a little bit more than a cup in here. Not much, but a little. So 1 cup and 2 cups of hash browns. Just going to shake this down a little. And then we're going to do a 1/2 cup of our cheese powder. And this is really good cheese powder, this Augustin Farms. It's pretty cheap, usually. So we're just going to put that 1/2 cup right in there. And we're going to let that settle right in the jar. And then we're going to add a 1/3 cup of the sour cream. And this gives it such a nice flavor. I love sour cream. Just going to put that right in there. And we're going to add 1 tablespoon of our minced onions. Just put that right in there. I love onions. Yes, yes. And then about a teaspoon of salt. And a 1/2 teaspoon of black pepper. Because we like it nice and peppery. So we've got everything in there we need for our potato sausage casserole, and I just label my lid. You can do this any way you want. I put on there, it's potato sausage casserole. We're going to bake it at 375. We're going to need 5 cups of hot water. We're going to bake it for 25 minutes. So I'm just going to put my lid and ring on for now. I will add an oxygen absorber to this, but I wait until I've got all my jars done and put them all in at the end so I don't mess up my oxygen absorbers. Once you open them, you only have like 15 minutes until they're all used up. So you want to open them, put them in, seal it up really fast. So we're just going to set this aside, and that is it for our potato sausage casserole. Simple and easy. So for this second meal, we're going to make a beef and beans stew. This is really simple and easy. Black beans, we're going to use some diced beef, beef bouillon, minced onions, some garlic, thyme. I'm going to use tomato dices for this, but you can use tomato powder as well. And also some potato chunks and mixed vegetables, whatever kind of vegetables you like in your beef stews, because we want this to be what you like, definitely. So I'm going to use carrots and peas because I like those. And we are going to get started with 1 cup of instant black beans. And you can buy these in a can, or you can make your own by dehydrating your beans. That works wonderfully too. So we're going to get this right in here. 1 cup of black beans and 1 cup of our freeze-dried beef. I like these little dices. They're delicious. I'm just going to put those right in there. Add a cup of that. Then we're going to add 2 tablespoons of our beef bouillon. Put that right in there. And this jar is pretty tight too, so you're not going to have a whole lot of room. You want to put those powders on top so they fill in the spaces. And then we're going to do 2 tablespoons of our minced onions as well. And I'm going to do 1.5 teaspoons of this freeze-dried garlic. If you're using just garlic powder, I just put 1 teaspoon in. We're going to go with about 1.5. I like a lot of garlic anyway, because it's delicious. And then we're going to add a teaspoon of thyme in this as well. And then I'm going to add some of the tomato dices. I'm going to put about 4 tablespoons in here because they're chunky. I like the dices, but some people really like the powder. You can use that as well. I'd use 2 tablespoons of the powder. And we'll just put 4 of those in of the dices. And then we're going to add about a cup of our potato chunks. And these are just little diced up potatoes, dehydrated. If you dehydrate your own potatoes, those are perfect for this. We put about a cup in there. And we're going to have to shake this down a little bit because this one is a little bit tight and makes a nice big stew. Just kind of get all that in there. And then we're going to add about 1 more cup of whatever kind of vegetables you like. So I'm going to put some, about 1/2 cup of carrots in there. And then we're going to finish it off with some peas. Because I love peas. And I'm just going to go right in and just fill it. About 1/2 cup. Fill that little baby right up. So now we just want to add a teaspoon of salt to this. Maybe a little under teaspoon. The beef broth is a little salty, so you can go 1/2 teaspoon or whatever you like. Just to your taste. We'll do that. Again, I'm going to wait to put my oxygen absorber in until the very end. I have all my jars done, but I just labeled my jar that it's beef and bean stew, and I'm going to use about 6 cups of water. You can do 6 to 8 cups with this, depending on how thin you want it, how far you want to stretch it, and we're going to simmer it for about 25 minutes. So I just try to write all that right on the cover, and then this one is done. Beef and bean stew, simple and easy. Okay, for our third meal, we're just going to whip up a quick macaroni and cheese. I'm going to use some pasta. I like the elbows. You can use whatever pasta you like. Some cheese powder, instant milk, and some powdered butter. We're also going to put some salt and pepper, and we're going to need a little plastic bag to put our powders in. So we're going to go ahead and get started. So we are just going to start with 2 2/3 cups of macaroni. And then we want to just get this all right in there. And 2/3. Right about there. So we've got our macaroni in there. We're going to push this off to the side and put our powders here in this bag. So we're going to put 2/3 of a cup of this cheese powder in here. And we just want to put this in the bag because when we go to cook this, we're going to cook it separately. We're just going to cook the pasta normal, and then we're going to make the cheese sauce separate, then mix them together. So we've got 2/3, then we're going to add 2 tablespoons of our instant milk here. And you can use powdered milk for this. It cooks enough that it doesn't really matter. So we've got 2 tablespoons of powdered milk, and then we're going to put 4 tablespoons of our powdered butter in here. Because, you know, you gotta have that butter. Butter's delicious. I think butter makes everything taste better. Bacon and butter. And then we're going to add 1/2 teaspoon of black pepper and about 1/2 teaspoon of salt. And then we're just going to try to push as much air out of here as we can so this fits into our jar. So then we're going to take this baggie and just stick it right in the top of this jar. Fold it in there, press it down, and then our mac and cheese is all together. It'll stay in there. And I have just labeled my lid, how I'm going to cook this. And it is our mac and cheese is going to, we're going to cook the pasta, just regular pasta, how you always cook it. And then the cheese mixture, you're going to add 3/4 of a cup of water and just until it's all combined really well, heat it up. And then once your pasta is ready, you can mix it all together and you've got your mac and cheese ready to go. Simple and easy. And for our 4th meal, we're going to make a chicken noodle skillet. This is another quick, fast meal. We're going to use pasta, some minced onions, a little bit of instant milk, some Italian seasoning, some butter powder, cheese powder, whatever kind of veggies you like. I'm going to use corn and carrots in this one because I like that mixture in this. And grilled chicken or whatever chicken dices or freeze-dried chicken that you have, and a little salt and pepper. So we're going to start this one with 2 cups of noodles. Egg noodles are wonderful in this, but the egg noodles are not going to last long term. If you know you're going to use this up, egg noodles are great in here. Spiral pasta, whatever kind of pasta you have, really. Then we're going to add in 1 tablespoon of the minced onions and 1/3 cup of our instant milk. Get that right in there. We're going to do 1.5 teaspoons of Italian seasoning. Yum, add a little flavor to it. And then we're going to add 1/4 cup of butter powder to this. And this is a 1/2 cup measure, but we can still measure with that. So about 1/4 cup of the butter powder. 1/2 teaspoon of black pepper and 1/2 teaspoon of salt. Get those right in there. Then we're going to add 1/2 cup of whatever kind of vegetables that you like. So I'm going to do a little bit of carrots and a little bit of corn, because I like both those. Let's get those right in there. And then we're going to add 1/3 cup of our cheese powder. Get that in there. Yummy. I love everything that's cheesy. And we're just going to shake this down a little bit because we want to make sure we have enough aroma for our chicken. So we got to fit another cup in here. So we're just going to shake that down so we can get it in there. And then we're going to add 1 cup of our freeze-dried chicken. I like the smaller dices for this, but anything will work. Whatever you have. You know, that's how it goes. Whatever you have, make it happen. And then we're going to have to shake this stuff down like that too, because it does not want to fit. So some of these meals are tighter than others, but you just want to shake them down and you can make it work. And I have just labeled my lid. This is a chicken noodle skillet. You're going to use 3.5 cups of water. Pour it right into a skillet on the stove. Bring it up to a boil and simmer it for about 15 minutes. And then once you turn it off, I always let my food sit a couple minutes, and this will thicken up in 3 to 5 minutes, but it takes me that long to get everything, all the plates and everything together anyway. So that is our chicken noodle skillet. And that is it. You've got 4 healthy and nutritious meals to put on your pantry shelves.
You will own nothing and be happy, they said. Them words still echo in my head from the car that I drive to the phone by my bed. Every product's built to fail instead. Subscriptions was the perfect heist. Turned a one-time cost into a lifelong price. What once was freedom is now a device. 7 grand later, still rolling the dice. We rent the dream, they sell illusion. Digital chains and a cash infusion. From code to car, it's all confusion. Welcome to the 4th revolution. We rent the dream, they sell illusion. Digital chains and a cash infusion.
How do they expect
people
to be able to afford to live? It is beyond me right now. So just to give you a little idea, by the way, I know I am not by any means the worst off right now. I am a single parent. And when I say single parent, I mean living on my own with 2 children. I am lucky that I have the other parent who helps provide things for me, which is why I'm saying I know there are people that are in worse off situations. I am trying to keep a home. I am working full time. I'm sorry, I'm getting really emotional about this today. Whew. I am working 40 hours a week to provide for my kids. I get bare minimum help from the government. I am making what I would class as a really fucking good wage. And about 95% of that is getting paid on bills. I have so many fucking bills to pay. And honestly, we're just surviving and like barely fucking surviving. I have rent, I have council tax, I have car payments, I have the cost of the kids. How are people supposed to survive like this? Because every single fucking morning, every day, I'm waking up going, right, what have I got to pay next? What have I got to pay next? And constantly looking back and forth at my bank, checking how much money I've got left. And usually, about 2 weeks before the month's ending, I'm fucked.
I just spent $91 at the grocery store. And this is what I got. $91.
I just went grocery shopping in South Africa, and I got 2 freezer bags and 1 Black Willie's bag with eggs and bananas and potatoes like on the side. It cost me 3,593 Rand 97, which is so insane. This grocery buy now probably won't even last us like a week. And I realized when I was looking at this receipt that bananas I used to buy for like, I think they were 36 Rand something, the organic ones, and now 59 Rand 99. 60 Rand for bananas. I think we're going to have to start planting banana trees or something, because like, that is so insane. And this won't even last us a week. So I don't know what's going on. I think the prices are going to even increase even more now with the whole fuel situation that's going on. But like, how are people affording this? My family lives in Australia, and every time my mom comes to visit, she already says like, the South African grocery price is so insane. It's like the same as what it is in Australia. I think now I've heard from people Australia's also gone up a lot. But like, what is happening, and how are people like affording this?
Bro, how are people making it? If you making $30 an hour, it's weird to ask that, but how are you making it?
I just feel like y'all not mad enough about how much rent is. Literally like about to get a second job. Like, I literally work in corporate America. I am a senior project manager, and I make an income that most people would say is a very high income, but I live in San Diego, California. So unfortunately, a high income in San Diego, California is actually not a high income at all. And if you would have told me in my teenage years that making this type of money wouldn't be enough, I would have been like, you're crazy. My parents take me to Hawaii every year, and we go to Pismo and Solving and all of these family vacations, and we eat out every Friday, and my mom barely works and my dad makes X amount of dollars. And if you would have told me that if I made that money at 30 and wouldn't be able to do half the shit, even have a child, I'd be like, you're so crazy. But here we are. Here we are, and I don't even own, I rent. And yeah, I think owning would actually be worse and more expensive. I have friends who own, and they're not having a good time, so I've held off on that as long as I can, because it just seems like a headache. But yeah, the American dream
in this fucking world, because like, tell me why I just went to fucking Kroger's and got groceries. I just got paid today, my last fucking paycheck, and I spent $73 fucking on popcorn, crackers, Cheez-Its, milk, ranch dressing, tomatoes, just basic shit, man. Like, a box of fucking Cheez-Its and a box of fucking crackers was $5 a fucking piece. The ranch dressing was fucking $5. The tomatoes were $4. Like, the milk is $7 a gallon, and my kid drinks 3 gallons a week. That's $20 fucking dollars. Like, how the fuck did I barely get any goddamn food, and it's $73 fucking dollars? Like, what the fuck am I gonna do?
I'm having a day. Or I'm having a life. I don't know, man. I just don't know what to do anymore. I'm sitting outside work, crying my eyes out in my vehicle, because I can't function anymore. Financially, I don't understand anymore. I don't understand how I make $34 an hour and I can't function. I can't function. I can't pay my bills. I can't even literally keep gas in my car to get to work 3 days a week because I can't afford it. Like, I get paid and it goes to car, mortgage, a couple little bills, and then maybe $80 in food for the week. And I literally only buy groceries when my daughter's home now. On the weeks that she goes with her dad, which is Monday to Monday, what I've started doing is I buy a loaf of rye bread, and I work really hard to keep that one loaf of rye bread lasting me the whole week, and I eat peanut butter. So I'll eat peanut butter toast whenever I'm hungry. And it's been fine. It's been working just fine. I'm good with that. That's fine. But last week, I guess I was a little extra hungry a couple days, so I had toast in the morning and toast in the evening, which that's not in my budget. So I ran out of bread on like the Thursday or even the Friday, I don't know. Either way, at 47, I had to see if my mother could buy me a loaf of bread so that I could eat for the weekend before my daughter got home. Because if there's any food in the house, I'm not fucking eating one bit of it. I'm saving everything I can for her. Because then she gets home and she's not surviving a fucking toast. I don't give a shit. I don't give a shit. I don't understand why things are so hard right now.
No, we're broke. Because why is everything so fucking expensive? Like, I moved to a different city. My auto insurance went up like $20. I don't know why. I called them and I was like, why did this go up? And she was trying to figure it out. And I was like, I also need to update my address because I just moved. And she goes, okay, with your address updated, you live in a higher risk area now. Surprise. So she said it's going up $120 a month. I was calling to figure out why it went up $20 and then she made it go up more. And I said, please don't do that. I can't afford it. And she said, I can't change it. And we're not depressed. We're broke.
Crashing out right now because we are in such a financial hole. Like, it's crazy how hard we work and the things that we do. And we're in such a hole. And then I think about the people who aren't going to be able to eat come November 1st. Like, my family is struggling very much. And I'm having one of those days where I feel zero hope. And then I think about all of the families who are about to lose their access to food. I know that I come on here and I tell stories and I do my energy work and I believe in miracles and manifestation and all of that. And I'm also a human. And I'm grieving for the state of our country. And this is what I believe that alchemy looks like. It's not always gonna be sunshines and rainbows and toxic positivity. Sometimes we have to grieve and release. And right now I'm grieving and I'm so mad.
It's so fucking expensive to do it. I don't even want to get out and pump my gas. It feels like getting out and just knowing someone's gonna fucking stab you. Why would you get out? This is beginning. This is the beginning of life. What am I supposed to do forever? I have to get a fucking horse.
So I'm hearing people say that £12.71 minimum wage is too high. £10.85 for 18 to 20-year-olds is too high. What? Where are you living? I mean, instead of attacking people at the bottom of a ladder, maybe look up. Just look up for a second. Now, I am all for people working hard, being successful, building something great and earning lots of money. But hello, a bit of perspective. Now, back in the 70s, in a company, the highest earners in a company would earn around 30% more than the lowest earners of that company. Well, now in 2026, there are many large companies whose execs, people at the top, earn like over 100 times more than the lowest earners in that company. 100 times more.
You will own nothing and be happy, they said. Them words still echo in my head from the car that I drive to the phone by my bed. Every product's built to fail instead. Subscriptions was the perfect heist. Turned a one-time cost into a lifelong price. What once was freedom is now a device. 7 grand later, still rolling the dice. We rent the dream, they sell illusion. Digital chains in the cash infusion. From code to car, it's all confusion. Welcome to the 4th revolution. We rent the dream, they sell illusion. Digital chains in the cash infusion. From code to car, it's all confusion. Welcome to the 4th revolution. From heated seats to features locked behind receipts. You don't own land, no tools, no keys. It's a modern serfdom subscription fee. The average brick now spends endlessly. A lifetime lease for dependency. Lux Veritas, Codex Dominus. The light of truth breaks through the dust. No real progress, just profit lust. Man thinks he's free, but he's leasing dust.
Lockdown hit, the panic grew. Corporations knew just what to do. They didn't innovate, they secured the flow. Predictable cash was the way to go. Free trials trap you, renewals hide. Cancel buttons buried deep inside. They studied your fear, your pain, your pride, and built a prison from the things you buy.
The dream, they sell illusion. Digital chains and a cash infusion. From code to car, it's all confusion. Welcome to the fourth revolution. We rent the dream, they sell illusion. Digital chains and a cash infusion. From code to car, it's all confusion. Welcome to the fourth revolution.
There are free tools everywhere to see, but they told you free means low degree. So you pay for your own captivity. From your software to your seat to your screen, they've wrapped control in a Logan scheme. Modern slavery, sleek and clean, convenience crowned a digital dream.
We rent the dream, they sell illusion. Digital chains and a cash infusion. From code to car, it's all confusion. Welcome to the fourth revolution. We rent the dream, they sell illusion. Digital chains and a cash infusion. From code to car, it's all confusion. Welcome to the fourth revolution. One love to the ones who still understand. This revolution won't come by hand.